Hey guys, it's Philip from Babs Honda Repair. Today we got in the shop a 1997 Honda CR-V and we'll be replacing the rear differential. This one the customer brought in for a few other things, and once I got it running it was clunking pretty bad in the rear end, so we decided to go ahead and put a rear diff in it. I realize most of you probably don't have a lift, but in the event you do, it's going to make this a lot easier. Can be done on the ground with jack and jack stands or whatever you have. So this is the rear differential we'll be putting in it, and pretty much just a straight swap, and we'll get to it. What you gotta do is you gotta drain the fluid out of the differential, and you can do that right here. It's gonna take a 17 millimeter. Just take a wrench. Make sure you got something to drain it into. In my case, I just got an old drain bucket here. But you ain't gonna want to make a mess. So in order to prevent the mess, we'll just go ahead and drain this out. As you can see, it didn't really have a lot of fluid in it. Probably contributed to it going bad. Alright, you don't have to get every last little drop out of it, just as long as whenever you pop an axle out, it's not going to spew everywhere. It only takes about a quart from completely empty. So, in order to get this rear differential out, we're going to have to, mount there's bad too. We're going to have to remove this bolt, and then there's two bolts right here, and they look like they're all 17 millimeters. And then also there are a bolt right here and a bolt right here, and all those are 17 millimeters as well. And then of course you have your four on your drive shaft here, and they are each a 12 point, 10 millimeter, and I'll take those off. So we'll get started. Alright, so the first thing I do is I take the ones off the drive shaft out, and then we'll want to pop the drive shaft loose from the differential. And to do that, I just got an old standard pry bar, and we'll just get in here and kind of work it loose. And as you can see, it's kind of loose, so kind of out of the way. Yeah, and then we'll start pulling this rear mount off. It's just 17 millimeters to here, of course, and the one that's right here. So pretty straightforward. First, I'm gonna pop these axles out, and to do so, I just take my pry bar while I had it and just stick it right under. There's a little like a gap right here. You just to pop it under there and just pry back on a little bit, and then pop that one out. The same thing right here. You just get on this side. Be careful not to damage this little dust shield if you can help it. But you can just get in behind it and just kind of pry it back like that. We'll come back to those axles in a bit after we get the rest of the differential loose. It's not much good, but you don't have a replacement. I'll tell him about it and see if he wants to replace that. And you can see the bolt just slides right out after that. Stick it over here with that, and we'll move on to the other two right here. So it's just a two-piece design on that. One goes on each side of the mount, and one on each side of the differential, and you know, bolts together. Straightforward. And Honda was nice enough to incorporate the nuts onto the mount, so you don't have to worry about nuts falling off or none of that. And for the final 2 bolts here, it's really best if you have a transmission jack or something that you can kind of put under this differential to hold it when you take those out, because it's going to want to fall down. It's not terribly heavy. Realistically, 2 people could probably handle it fairly well. So yeah, I'll take out this bolt here, and then there's one also on the other side over here, right here, as you can see. And then it'll come down, and then you can pull these axles the rest of the way out of this differential here. They're just really just sat in there at this point. I mean, they'll slide. But I'm not gonna try to hold the camera and take the differential down with one hand. I'm gonna try to be safe. I'll set the camera up here, see if I can prop it up somewhere and record it there. Alright guys, I misspoke on this, these top bolts here. They're not 17, they're actually 14 millimeter, and I already got one of them out. And you can see they're kind of long. It's got this little rubber backing on it. And now if it's to pull the other one down and see if I can get my phone propped up to where I can be safe and try to hold the phone and take it down with one hand. Also, I forgot to mention this little vent tube here. It just slides almost fit in here. Be sure to pop that off too, so it don't try to catch up on you when you're taking the diff down. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing out of here. At this point, the axle should just slide out of here. There you go, rear differential. Now going back together with it's going to be a little more tricky because I got to get these axles in it first, at least where they're sliding in it, and then get it up here where I can put one of those top bolts in it. So yeah, a little more challenging than actually taking it down. That's where a friend or something you could put under here like a transmission jack or something like that would really help. But yeah, here we go. Bolt. It's kind of sitting there right now. I'm going to sit there and take a break. So on these two, I just noticed that that vent tube, see on this 97, it actually comes off on the passenger side. And I'm not sure what year differential this is that the customer brought me, but it actually looks like it originally went on the left side. But it also has these holes punched out. And you can just take these little original clips here and take them off. Get a pair of pliers real quick. So just get a pair of pliers and just squeeze on that clip. It'll pop right out. Alright. Squeeze it and push it. See, it'll pop right out. Then you can just take it and pop it right in this side. And it's just like it came. And let's see. And then you can just take this. You can use the same hose. I'm going to use the hose from the original one. This hose looks like it's a little different angles and whatnot on it. So I just took my pliers and popped that off. And so I'll pop the one off this differential. Like so. And just unclips off of there. And we'll just transfer that little hose over to this side. Alright, and then transfer these little mounts over. Alright, well, looks like it's ready to go in. So that's definitely a challenge doing it by yourself. But I can get it. Air tools make life so much easier. Reinstall this rear bracket. So we'll just get our bolts started right here. Like so. And the one with the nuts on it goes to the passenger side. Alright, so we put the rear mount on. We got our 2 bolts in through the driver's side, and then our side of the bracket with the 2 nuts on it. Here on the passenger side, just kind of get them started. Don't tighten them down yet. And then we put this the bolt in the rear here. And then if you look on this torque mount, you'll see it's got this little tab. Well, that tab goes in that hole right there. And it's going to keep it from moving, so I'm going to do that real quick. Alright, so we got that started, and now I'm just put it all up. Now we got to put the rear drive shaft on, and ready to put some fluid in it. If you run into a stubborn axle like this one that don't want to pop in, I'll show you a trick to get that in. First, you're gonna want to take off the wheel, and we can get to the axle nut. Most all these just standard 19mm nut. It's not a 19mm. It's probably not factory nut. Alright, so now that we've got the wheel off, you'll want to get a 32mm. Take this big nut right here off. Don't worry, you ain't gonna mess up nothing. Just take that nut off. Alright, so once we get that nut off, you want to get something. As you see, that's your axle. You see when you push that in, it's pushing the axle. What you want to do is get something that's going to fit right in the center of that thing. Whatever you can get. I usually like a screwdriver or something like that, something along those lines. And you're going to take it something with a hammer and you're going to bump it. Now I've got an old like a rubber mallet, and that's what I find works best. That way if you do miss, hit one of these studs or something, you're not going to mess it up. Rubber mallet, as you would if you had a steel mallet or a hammer or whatever. So we don't want to mess up those wheel studs. Alright, so what I use is just this old rubber mallet. And I've got an old Craftsman number 3 Phillips head that's already messed up, so it's not going to really hurt it. But I just put it right there in the center of it like that and hit the end of it. And as you see, about 2 licks, and it popped that axle right in there where it's supposed to be. And if it goes in like that, don't let it scare you, because all you got to do is just grab it back here on the back side and push it back in, and there you go. And then put your axle nut back on there and hammer it back down with a 32mm, and should be good to go. And then all we like is the fluid, putting this wheel back on. This job will be done. Alright, so I just got the wheel back on. And also I wanted to mention that if you're a first time, mechanic trying your hand at being a mechanic here, always tighten your lug nuts across from each other. Don't go in a circle, because it can cause it to mount uneven. So start here and then go here and then come back over here, and then from here you go here and then back over here. And then after you get them all, snug that way, then you can go around in a circle if you want to. Just, reassure that they're all tight. All right, for your fluid, you're going to want to pick up 2 quarts of Honda Genuine dual pump fluid 2. All right, don't use anything but dual pump fluid 2, and it's only available at Honda or online retailers or something like that. And you're going to want a funnel that you can get this into the rear differential. And I got this one at Walmart. It's fairly cheap. I think it's like $1 or $2. You can just take the cap off the bottle and screw it on there, and your bottle is instantly a funnel. And the fluid is going to go in right here. It's got another 17mm make a fill plug here. So you just unscrew that and set it to the side. And then once you get your fluid in your bottle, you're going to want to take that funnel and just kind of put it in here, and your bottle can kind of sit up here. And I'll show you that here in just a second. Alright, as you can see, I got my funnel on there. Don't put it on there super tight, because it can't tolerate that. It don't have those. It's not very thick plastic. Try to jump a couple threads on you there. Also, I wanted to mention that before filling this, I would recommend draining the one that you're putting on, just to make sure there's no old fluid or water or anything like that in there. This one here I just drained it a few minutes ago, so yeah, it's already done. But again, that's just a 17mm right here for the drain plug, and just drain it till most of it quits coming out. It may still be a drizzle. If you want to let it sit there and drain until nothing's coming out, you can absolutely do so. I just don't find it necessary, especially in a case like this where the fluid coming out of it was relatively clean. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and stick this fluid in there. So as you can see, we've got our funnel in there, and the bottle's up here and it's filling away. This takes 1.1 quarts. If you overfill it, it's not going to hurt anything, because it's just going to come out of that fill plug there. So don't worry about overfilling it. Sometimes you squeeze the bottle just a little bit, it'll help kind of push it on in there. If you have a pump system, more power to you. I just don't have one. This is what works for me. It's cheap and effective. Alright, like I was saying, see how it's running out at the top? Means it's full. It ain't gonna hurt nothing with it running out. So you just take your drain plug, or your fill plug rather, and put it in there and tighten it back up with your 17mm. And then this job is done. Now we're gonna let this CR-V back down and take it out for a spin and see if she's good to go. Alright guys, one more thing I failed to mention since I did it off camera. But when I was putting the new differential in, these holes where the drive shaft goes in, I usually put a little bit of lube in there, just like some WD-40. I think on this occasion I actually used PB Blaster because that's what I had. Just some kind of penetrating oil, just something to help the bolts go in there and make sure they don't try to cross thread and all that kind of stuff. And also this drive shaft only go in here one way, so you don't have to worry about you know, getting it on the wrong way or anything. It'll only go on one way. So yeah, no concerns there. If you have any questions, just let me know. Alright guys, as you can see, I think this got our problem fixed. No more clunking, popping, none of that jazz. So I think this one's good to go. Alright, so the test drive went pretty good. Nothing unusual or unexpected. Runs and drives as it's supposed to. And that's what we like. Come see us down here at Babs Honda Repair and we'll take care of your Honda too. Be sure to like and subscribe below. Roll Tide.